This is the story of Ella. Today, you have the opportunity to witness the transformational journey of a woman who chose to realign herself with her authenticity. When she showed up to our discovery call, her big question was, what's stopping me from stepping into my authenticity? Why is it so challenging for me to express myself? Why do I withdraw? Why do I shut down when I really want to speak up? So, if you've ever wished that you could feel safer to express yourself more, to step more into your authenticity, this episode is going to speak to your heart. These sessions took place over a period of 2 months. First, we met and talked about what was going on, what she wanted to change, what's stopping her, what's the cost of not taking action, and why it matters to do this work right now. Then we move into the inner child reclamation. And that session is always very tender because that's our opportunity to connect with a memory from childhood, not necessarily in a conscious way. We may not even remember what happened, but this memory exists in our bodies, in our subconscious. And so you're going to get to witness as I guide Ella into her body to track sensations and then feelings and then the emotion, which is the thread that connects to this past memory from childhood, so that we can start to meet that child, her inner child, where she was, recognize the truth that needed to be honored, meet the need that wasn't met, do a bunch of energetic clearing with theta healing techniques, and then reintegrate that child. And we'll also go back to her conception, all the way through gestation, and into her time of birth so that she has the opportunity to recode that entire experience with the upgrades she's going to make today and then integrate the newborn as well. So that inner child session is going to be the foundation of safety. All of us have experienced things in childhood in which we lost our sense of safety, even if our parents did the best that they could. So, first, we create that foundation of safety. Then, a few weeks later, we met for the ancestral field alchemy session. And that's when we have the opportunity to tap into the morphogenic field around our DNA. So we're not talking to dead spirits, we're not talking to ghosts or anything like that. All of the memories of our lineage, of our ancestry, is held in the morphogenic field of our DNA, kind of like the data cloud, where your data gets uploaded. You don't really know where that goes, but it's there somewhere. So then your DNA is like a movie projector. And so, as we track the sensations, the feelings, the emotion, that's the thread that leads us spontaneously to the ancestral memory where that particular pattern got imprinted in the lineage. And then that becomes the echo that passes down the lineage, which Ella is carrying today, was carrying up until this point, and that she also witnessed in her own history. And so, most of us don't know a lot about our ancestral history, typically up to the grandparents' generation, maybe sometimes our great grandparents. And Ella got to experience something from a long time ago that's been repeating for hundreds of years in her family. And so what happens is our ancestors make decisions about what that experience meant, what it meant about them, what it meant about life. And then this is the echo that gets passed down. And then we're born and we have these childhood imprints and experiences that reinforce that. And then we go through life and have these experiences into adulthood, believing that this is real and this is how life is and this is who we are without even knowing that what we're carrying isn't even ours, right? It feels very personal because of the personal experiences that we've had, but these are ancestral patterns. And the amazing thing is that once we shift out of the self-centered trauma healing approach, where it's no longer just about me and my pain and my trauma, and it becomes a bigger picture. It becomes something bigger than us. We enter into this collective container with an ancestral memory where that experience was imprinted. and we make a new agreement with the ancestor. So we cancel out that old program, that old belief, that old limitation that got passed down and echoed through our lineage. And we make a new agreement with our ancestor. And then all of these new codes, these updates and upgrades get offered to our entire lineage, backward and forward in time, to any soul that wants to tap into that. And of course, each and every soul has their free will. So not everyone is going to tap in. And then the beautiful thing is, we met about 5 weeks after this whole process to talk about reflecting on the journey, what's changed for her, what's changed in her family, what's her new outlook on life in the future. And you'll get to hear about the actual shifts that took place in her family, in the generation younger and in the generation older, as well as in her life, simply within 5 weeks of doing this one ancestral healing session. So I think you're really going to enjoy getting this inside view of what it's like to do this work. And Ella has been incredibly brave to share this, to share her story with the world. And I can't wait to hear what it's like for you to witness this as well, because these themes that she taps into are so universal. So many of us feel that we can't fully express ourselves and we don't know why we're holding back. And we really want to step into our higher alignment, into our authenticity, and we don't understand why we keep feeling blocked by this, no matter how much work we've done. Ella came to this work having done years, if not decades, of inner work. And you're going to get to witness this powerful, epic transformation that she made in just 2 months. So I'm looking forward to hearing what insights you gain from getting to witness this work. This is the story of Ella. You've been doing a decade of shadow work. You've come a long way since, the toxic relationships and stuff. You've done some shamanic work, some ancestral work. Tell me a little bit about who you are today, where you're at in your life today.
I think I'm 52 now, so there's a lot of age-related things, menopause, that sort of thing, and it's like I'm really proud of how far I've come, but I'm like, right, what's next? Like, what is mine to do? Because I've always had this feeling like there's a purpose for life, and I'm just not getting it. So, what am I here for? What's the thing?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I suppose that's becoming a bit more pressing. And I think with a lot of the work I've done, I still keep it to myself because I sort of pride myself. I'm very loyal and I stand by my truth. So I wouldn't ever lie and I wouldn't let something go that was awful that I had to step in. But I wouldn't ever sort of put my head above the parapet and say, hang on a minute, there's another way of looking at this. And there's a lot going on in the UK at the moment, just getting very heated. And I'm just kind of like, oh, staying out of this. And not that I want to wade in and take a side and get fired up, but I just feel like I'm not really using the skills I've learnt. Like what's stopping me from being my authentic self? And I always throughout my life and still now with all the shadow work, although it's not so much of a problem now, but I've still got this feeling that I'm going to get caught out one day. And like at work, but I'm always like, yeah, but someone's going to find out one day that it's not that I don't even think I don't know what I'm doing, but somebody's going to find out about me and it will be taken, not even taken away because I'd cope with that. But it's not who I really am. Does that make sense?
Is it like an imposter syndrome?
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I'm good at it. I know I do a good job. I work hard. I deserve the money. But there's still that feeling like, but yeah, if they knew what you were into, like if they knew that you were going to shamanic stuff and you were interested in that, I suppose it's that maybe that fear of being ridiculed because
Ridicule.
I've come across a fair bit of that amongst my friends, love them, and I can deal with that, but I'm not kind of ready to be out there in the world, but I'd like to be. I'd like to be.
Yeah, so maybe it's like a fear of people not taking you seriously, ridiculing you, rejecting you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's I'd like to stand up and speak out more. Just when I see something, sometimes you think like, if somebody's lost someone they love, there's things that I know that that would bring me comfort and might bring them comfort, but then you're entering into that dangerous sort of territory. Even if somebody's kind of coming to you asking for help, but there's a bit of me, I'm like, am I supposed to just take that step forward and start saying things like that? I've had some conversations with people that I never thought I would have, so it's kind of slowly happening. but there is still that bit of like hold it back.
Holding back. So if
Yeah.
you imagine like if you could be out there with your authentic self, living that dream, living that purpose that you're really craving to step into, what would that look like?
I think I would be more open because I still keep people at arm's length. So I have this like dichotomy. Like I like time on my own, but I always feel like I haven't got enough. Like I haven't got enough friends. I haven't got enough love. And I know rationally that I do. I'm happily married. My friends, they're great people. I've got no toxic friends or anything like that anymore. They're a good group, but it always feels that lack, and I suppose that links into that feeling like, yeah, if I show more of myself, I might lose them. Like my best friend, we just spent the weekend together. Obviously, I've known her for God 30 odd years, so well, more than that. So we're really close, but we're completely different. So we've navigated so much over the years, but it's still there. It's just still sort of like, oh, I suppose you think that, don't you? And I don't let it get away with it, but I also don't feel like I articulate very well. Um, and
You feel
yeah,
like you kind of shut down, like you
yeah,
go silent.
yeah, and like with the pandemic is best example, isn't it? But she was obviously pro jab, I wasn't, and she gave me a really hard time, and I didn't stand up for myself because I know it's a personal decision, and I would never have said to her, "What on earth are you doing? Don't get I just wouldn't have done it because out of respect for her, I knew she didn't want to hear it. I didn't get that back, and it's that kind of thing. I think I need to in those situations. I should have pulled her on it because she could decide that I was making the wrong decision, but it didn't give her the right to be how she was to me. But that happened a lot. But I sometimes there's a sneaking suspicion. I think because I don't stand up for myself or speak my truth unless I really have to, like do it in defence of somebody else. I think that's the other thing. I'm probably being called to do that. And that's just another thing that's occurred to me because I work in housing and homelessness. I'm very good at standing up for people and I will fight tooth and nail for them, but I don't do it for myself. I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
that's fine. Yeah, we'll withdraw. So it's yeah, where I get the energy to help other people, but not I do all right for myself, but I do it kind of quietly and on my own. So
Mhm. Yeah, so you
um
want to express yourself more, express your truth more, stand up for yourself more,
yeah,
regardless of what other people think or feel. It sounds like that fear of loss and the ridicule or people moving away from you, loved ones,
yeah.
right? That's
I
holding you
think it's
back.
that like with the pandemic thing, it's that thing like I still loved people who made a very different choice to me,
Right,
but it was that feeling like, well, they don't love me because I've done something which I know in my heart is the only thing I could do.
right.
It's my truth. It's not to say that that would be right for them, but for me, that is the right thing to do. But they won't love. It was that sort of thing, trying to hang on to their love despite making a decision they didn't approve of. And then why should I care whether they approve? Because I know when I was younger, I would bend with the trees, make a decision, change my mind, all the rest of it. But now I'm very centered. And if I make a decision, it's because I've really thought it through and felt it through and it's right for me. Yeah.
So you have the boundaries now. You're able to
Yeah.
set the boundaries. For you, it sounds like it's more about an expression
Yeah.
of like, this is who I am,
Yeah.
which is your
Yeah.
authenticity piece that it sounds like you
Yeah.
really want to step into.
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest struggle? Is it literally allowing yourself to speak up? Is it honoring yourself in the moment? Is it something else? What's the biggest
I
struggle?
think I think it is. It's that standing up for myself. It's about speaking out when people are spouting off about something that they think. I want to be able to say, "Have you thought about this?" or "Have you read that article?" And I think somebody was sort of saying in the pandemic, it's a really good idea. Is like rather than sort of say, "Oh, you're wrong," that article you've read is wrong. Just sort of say, "Oh, some people think there's another," and sort of gently introduce it. But I think I'm worried that if I if I let loose, I'll you know overwhelm somebody, which isn't fair either, because everybody is entitled to their own opinion. There's so much suffering at the moment in the world, and I just think I've found ways to deal with stuff in my life that have really helped, and I kind of feel that I want to share those. And I suppose when people are doing sort of spiritual work, I've got a lady locally, she's really great. She's out there and she gives advice, and she gives advice obviously on social media. So it includes people that aren't necessarily going to be agreeing. And she just does it in a really graceful way. And yeah, I'd like to be like that.
And so also I'm hearing that you feel very connected to the suffering in the world.
Yeah.
So tell me how this is motivating you to do something now, to find your purpose, to really step up into your authenticity.
Because I think what we do individually changes overall, and it's that young thing, isn't it? Somebody said, do you think there'll be a nuclear war? And he said it depends how many people do their shadow work, basically. And I think that's true. And I think I'm a great believer in sort of working in the field. I'm part of like some online groups, and we do meditations, and even like Lynn McTaggart sending healing. It works. That stuff works, but it's still not accepted across. So you're still seen as crazy because you think that praying for someone might make a difference.
Right.
But I do think it does, and I think coming back to the ancestral stuff as well. I'm just very aware of everything that's gone before. I don't have children, and I've always known I wouldn't have them. I never wanted them. It was just something like a sort of a given for me, like, no, that's not going to happen. But I am aware that my sister's got a niece who I absolutely adore. There's other children in the family, and it's like that stuff. I've done some work, but all that stuff follows through, and not just affects the family, but it's all connected, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
you know, yeah.
What do you feel is the ancestral burden, the grief that you're carrying from your lineage?
I think on my maternal side, it is to do with poverty and not having enough. I mean, my mum has very much got a chip on her shoulder. She had a difficult childhood. They were very poor, and that goes back further and further in her family. And there was an also like there's been people in the family who've done sort of family tree research, and my grandmother was always very like there's obviously something there she didn't want anybody to find out. Got little hints here and there, but it's like you didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about the bad stuff, just focused on now. And yeah, my mum must say she's definitely got that. I'm not motivated by money at all, and I'm comfortable, but I just have this fear. Like if I won £100, I would instantly put £99 of it away for an emergency or to treat myself later down the line. I can't sort of go, hey, £100, right, I'm off. And the same with food. Like with my husband, he just laughs because he also had quite a poor childhood. I didn't. My parents had done quite well for themselves by the time I came along, but he grew up in real poverty, like going hungry, and he will have whatever he fancies. Whereas if we're in a restaurant and there's steak or there's pasta, I'll really want the steak, but I'll have the pasta because it's
Right.
cheaper. And in the house, if we've got food left in the fridge that needs eating, I'll have that even if I really don't want to eat it. I just sort of feel like, no, it's got to be used up, can't waste it. So I feel that's definitely on my maternal line. Um,
Yeah, so it's kind of like the poverty is robbing you of your joy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you realized that before? Named it
Not
as
not the
such?
joy, not the joy side of it, but it's funny. I was thinking just last night. I need a bit more joy in my life. It's like it's all
Right.
good. I think that's the thing. It's all good, but I'm a bit like that. Can be having an amazing night, and I'll be the one going, "Oh, but I have got work tomorrow." So
Right.
like, however good the night is, I'm always sort of this. I've got that sensible side of me.
Yeah, so it's like you notice that poverty, lack, scarcity mentality, it kind of affects everything in your life, even your ability just to enjoy the moment for what it is,
Yeah,
because your brain is already telling you, well, got
yeah,
to toughen up for this, or we got to
yeah.
cut back for that, or
And I think the other thing my husband always say, like he'll say, "Well, I'll treat you to that," and I'll be like, "No." So even though he's going to pay for it, and it's not like I couldn't afford it
right.
anyway, I have this like, "Oh no," because it's too expensive. It's yeah,
So it's like it blocks you from receiving
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So you like more joy in your life. You'd like to be able to
yeah,
receive more abundance in your life.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That's it. I think I just have this thing because I'm not motivated by money. I don't need it, but it's that energy, isn't it? It's the flow, I suppose. It's
Sure.
that, and I know because I can step into it in other areas of my life. It's like, affluence is dirty. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a self-protection mechanism.
Yeah.
That's the ancestral thing. So, okay, so I hear what you want to change is you want to step more into your authenticity, into your self-expression, into your purpose, into abundance, into joy, into that more openness, owning who you are. Am I missing anything else?
No, no, I think that's no, I say I just feel like this is the time for people to step up and do hard stuff, because
What makes you feel that way?
because I think things are going to get tougher in the world, and I think it's
Hmm.
it's like it's a bit like sink or swim, isn't it? And I keep harking on to pandemic, but it is because it's like the biggest example. But it's like when
Yeah,
that happened, I kind of came through it quite well because I knew from toxic relation, I'd learned to believe myself rather than anything else. And I just feel that there's going to be something else, probably not another pandemic, but there's going to be something else that's going to come along. And in the same way,
right,
there's people that, you know, lost the plot a few years ago, there's going to be more of them. And I think it needs people like us to sort of ground it really and just
right.
hold space. I think that's another thing I want to be able to do is hold space for people because I used to do it in the sort of like, oh, I'll solve all your problems, I'll help you, I'll rescue you. Obviously, I don't do that anymore, but so I've maybe got a bit too far away from like, oh, hang on, stay away. But there's healthier ways of doing it.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes we overcorrect, right? So
yeah,
when you're on the one side of like the rescuer, which probably helped you feel safe, probably helped you survive something in childhood, and then we go to the other extreme sometimes. And now it sounds like you're looking for that balance in the middle where you're that stability node I speak about in the podcast where you're holding the space. You're just the one holding that coherence, and that affects everything and everyone around you.
yeah.
So tell me, what's the cost of inaction? Like, let's say you don't deal with this. Let's say you don't address this. Let's say 6 months, 12 months down the road, 2 years down the road, nothing changes. What is that costing you?
And it's just that stuckness again, isn't it? And I think I have made a lot of progress over the last 10 years. And I want to keep making progress because I'm running out of time. I know 52 is not old, but it's older than 30. You just want to get on with it now. It's like I'm where I am in my life. I'm in a good place and all the rest of it, but I want to make the most of whatever time is left. And I say, hopefully, it all ripples out, doesn't it? There's already little bits in the neighborhood where people are getting together and doing exciting things, and it just feels like you step up for that, and then something else comes along, and I've been in that flow. I want to get back in it.
Yeah, so it sounds like, your main desire right now is like, what's stopping me from being my authentic self? That sounds like
Yeah.
the overarching theme of what you want to discover. And it sounds like what you're identifying is, the poverty, lack, scarcity. I don't have enough. I'm hearing a lot in what you're saying, right? Which connects to those
Mm,
themes like enough time, money, safety, acceptance, agency is kind of an overarching theme of not having enough.
yeah.
There's also this theme of there's something wrong with me because everybody else wants this and they want me to want this, but I want this other thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also this really important thing that you identified that safety can't be trusted. Like you had this sense of safety, but there was always this feeling that it was limited and that at
Yeah.
any moment it could be taken away. You could be forced to move, you could be forced
Yeah.
to do something you didn't want to do that made you feel very unsafe.
Yeah, it did. And I think it occurred to me because I have this recurring dream where I've moved house and I regret it. And I'm like, why have I done this? I can't believe what. And when I was doing that, I just thought, of course, because I did have to move when I was a kid and I really didn't want to. And it was, you know, there were good things that came out of it as well. But it was just that feeling. I remember coming back from school and my mum and dad saying, oh, we're moving to a different country. And I was just like, what? No, that's not, no. And it was just, but there was no sort of dialogue. And I wasn't allowed to be upset about it because it was an amazing opportunity. It didn't feel like an amazing opportunity to me. And it was in some ways, they were right, but it was always shut down. There was never, there wasn't, you weren't allowed to discuss it. It's just like, no, you're just wrong. You're just thinking the wrong thing. And that has just led to me just keeping things to myself. And I think another sort of reflection I had is why is it such a big deal when people don't get me? Because I am thicker skinned now, I'm older and all the rest of it. But I think it's that thing because I've learned to just keep things to myself. So when I do, it's like putting myself out there. So when someone's like, "Oh, that's a bit of a weird thing," it's a real pain because I've sort of let myself be seen, and then it's that, "Oh yeah, but you're weird again."
Right, because when you
Yeah.
were in childhood, your feelings didn't matter.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to have those feelings.
And weren't valid either. I think that was
Right.
it. It's like, and I hadn't really remembered it until I was reading through the notes this evening. And it's like that whole crying thing, what are you crying for? You can't be crying. And actually, there's a place for that. There's a
Yeah.
place to express grief, and that was sort of shut down. Yeah, and I think I was always sort of seen as being overly emotional, which I don't think I was.
Right.
um, yeah,
So it wasn't safe to express yourself as a
no,
child. You were shut down, and then on top of it, you were almost forced to express gratitude instead of allowing yourself to move through the process of those feelings and eventually maybe get to the gratitude naturally. It was like it
yeah.
was forced upon you.
Yeah, yeah. It was like you had to just kind of shortcut to the end. And I think that's the way my parents were brought up, and probably their parents, they had it much tougher. So there
Yeah.
was always that, my mum would say, you didn't know what it was like for me growing up with three sisters. We didn't even have an inside toilet, and all of that is genuine. But when you're little, you can't get your head around concepts like that, and so you just feel bad. You feel bad that I've upset them for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
you learn to shut
yeah,
down your feelings, to shut down your expression, to not upset your parents. And that's
yeah,
become a theme through your life. And so that's really hindering your sense of authenticity and
yeah,
self-expression in yourself, in your life, in the world.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And so I've got close friends that see most of me, but there's still I don't think there's very many people that see all of me. And I say it's just like a learned behavior, isn't it? You just learn to not show everybody everything. It just becomes like natural. So when I meet people, yeah, my husband said, "Oh, you're really good at sort of small talk and stuff." But it's like I've learned it. I've learned what you have to do, but I don't feel connect. When I'm doing that, I don't feel like I'm connecting with people. I'm just doing what you do to make them feel comfortable and socially acceptable. But yeah, I don't really connect with them how I'd like to. I sort of mentioned about my mum's friend who used to sort of tell us these fantastic stories, and that was my escape, was like the imagination. So I used to love reading, but also had my own imaginary worlds. I used to spend hours drawing maps of islands and where I would live on it. And again, I wouldn't say that that was discouraged, but it was just something I did on my own. But it always seemed like it was sort of frivolous, but actually now I think it's really important to have that sort of escapism, and it's how you figure things out. And all those stories, there's always an archetypal hero, isn't there, and a villain, and it's really important stuff to do. But I didn't realize that at the time. And I just remember reading books that other people would have said were far too childish, probably right up until I was a teenager. I could get lost in books about, King Arthur and all that sort of thing. Um, so yeah, I suppose that's it as well. So the characters in those things were kind of weird like me, and but kind of strong, and I think that's it. I've always been drawn to sort of outsiders and different, and that's led me down some dark paths at time. And I think that's almost it. I didn't develop my discernment at an early age because it was like that wasn't allowed, so it was
Right.
forbidden. So it became more attractive, and obviously in amongst that forbidden thing were things that were dangerous and not healthy for me. But I sort of think if I'd been allowed to explore that younger, obviously your parents are going to go, just go and do what you like. But if I'd had opportunities to maybe mix with different people, I'd have figured all that out a bit earlier. So I feel like I was quite late in life to kind of get, into some not very nice relationships and things like that. Because again, I was attracted to the alternative side, the sort of disapproved of people. And that also then, if you know that your parents don't approve of a friend, even when you're grown up, you don't take them along to occasions. They're a bit like a dirty secret. because they wouldn't be acceptable. And everyone's got some great qualities, even people you shouldn't hang around with as a teenager. But yeah, that's sort of come to me recently. I just think it some of the repeating patterns in my life. I think if I hadn't been protected from those situations early on, I'd have learnt lessons a bit sooner. And
Sure.
I know there's got to be a balance, and say parents can't just let kids fend for themselves. But
Yeah, and all of that represented the parts of you that you weren't allowed to express as well.
yeah, and being around people like that, again, this is more when I was a teenager, they were very accepting, unlike people in my kind of peer group. It would be hard to shock some of those people.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, so you were looking for the acceptance that you didn't get at home.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, anything else coming up?
I think just that sort of the pain that you carry, and you just so, and I'm happy. I'm in a good place in my life. But when you start doing the journal prompts, you think, yeah, there is that heaviness in me that I have just it's just always been there. So I carry it and I function with it. But it's there, and it's been there for really as long as I can remember, apart from really early sort of childhood memories. I was a serious little girl. Melancholy, I suppose, would be a word that I'm sure that was used on me, because I was serious and I couldn't understand when I saw hard things. I couldn't fathom them out, and I couldn't. But we weren't allowed to talk about it. So if you'd seen a homeless person on the street, I'd want to know, well, how did that happen to somebody? Why didn't they have a family? And all, but it was, no, carry on walking. It's not our business. It's
Wow.
yeah. And I think that again in sort of friendships, they had to be easy people. So if there was somebody who had a sort of difficult home life, I would be very discouraged from hanging out with them in case any of it rubbed off on me.
Wow.
And that was tough, because it would be like you'd meet someone, you'd get on with them at school, really think they were great, but there was this sort of discouragement of the friendship and being pushed towards doing the girl guides, or dance lessons, that sort of thing. um and I just thought it was me. I thought there's something wrong with me because of things I like. And then I just learned, well, it's not wrong with me, but it's not safe to talk about them. It's not safe to say that's what I want to do. It's like now, if people sort of say, well, what do you want to do? I find it really hard. I have to kind of
Right.
go away and be on my own for a bit, and then think, oh yeah, I am tired, or I do want to go for a walk, or but it's almost like, oh no, don't ask
Yeah,
me.
because
I don't I don't
you're
know.
used to having to suppress that in order to be
Yeah,
accepted, in order to keep the peace.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think I said in the notes, that's what I really feel, because I did suffer from depression really from a teenager right up until my sort of mid 30s. But I think it was just anger that I
totally.
just knew I couldn't express. And I just thought depression was something that was in me. It was like I was born under an unlucky star or something. I had this
No.
depression, and then, yeah, exactly. And then when you start to, like, touch wood, I don't think I'll ever be depressed ever again, from what's gone on over the last sort of 10, 12 years. And it's revolutionary. And you think there's
Yeah.
so many people that are on antidepressants,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really depression that was at the root of it all. And they don't have to feel like that. But again, would I talk about that openly? Probably not.
For fear of ridicule, dismissiveness.
Yeah, I think fear of ridicule, because it's, again, I feel passionate about it. Like, I was I don't know if it's fortunate, but I decided I didn't ever want to take medication for my
Mm.
depression, because I think deep down I knew that this isn't a medical problem. And so I tried all sorts of other things, and when I hear people say, oh, well, you should just go and get a prescription, and I just feel really strongly about how dangerous that is, and how people end up just getting written off, really, and
Mhm.
left on medication forever. But it's too precious to me. So I think if somebody asked me, then I'd give information. But yeah, I think I've just been shot down in the past before, with
Sure.
people sort of, like the things I do now to sort of keep me healthy. I've been to a sound bath recently, and it's just, they're brilliant. They're so good for you.
Yeah.
And but there are people that still think that's ridiculous, and what can you possibly get out of that? And you can't. suppose you can't articulate it to them. It's something you have to feel. You have to go to a gong bath and know that something has happened. You can't tell somebody that's and anti that kind of thing and expect them to get it, because you can't. I probably wouldn't have done if someone had told me about it, but I felt drawn to my first one, and that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's all the same themes, even the fear of sharing your story of overcoming your depression, of realizing it was the anger turned inward. It wasn't safe to
yeah,
express the anger, so the only place it could go was inward. That turned into depression, and that you were able to heal your depression in a very non-typical way that people go about
yeah,
that, right? And so the fear of the ridicule, the fear of your feelings don't matter, your experience doesn't matter, you're wrong for having that view because everybody else has this view. So it's all kind of the same
yeah,
themes.
yeah. I think because a lot of what I believe, or I think, it hasn't come from learning. It's not. It hasn't come from legitimate sources, as other people would see. So
That's because you were taught
it's
to believe your experience is invalid.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that. But yeah, it's like I do trust myself now. I trust my intuition. And I know when I'm in a state where I can make a decision, or when I need to take some time, look after my body, go for a walk in nature, and then come back to it. I trust myself, but I suppose I still don't trust telling other people that's how I do things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are great insights. So this is already going to start to stir these patterns in your body. So today, as we do
Yeah.
the inner child reclamation, we're going to start with that embodiment piece where I'm going to walk you into your body and help you start to track the sensations and the feelings. And once we catch the emotional thread, that's what's going to lead you to a memory from childhood. Now, this isn't going to come from your conscious mind. It doesn't have to be something that you actively remember right now. You're just going to trust whatever your body and your subconscious brings up automatically. Just the first thing
Okay.
that will come to mind without judging it or editing it. It might be like, really that? Just try not to question it because your subconscious is bringing it up because it's connected to that emotional theme. And once we start
Yeah.
unpacking this, you're going to understand exactly why it came up. So then you're going to have the
Okay.
opportunity to meet yourself as a little girl who was experiencing whatever was happening. And then we're going to help her unravel that story. We're going to help her get her needs met in a different way. We're going to do some theta
Okay.
healing technique to clear a lot of the emotional residue, the distortions, the programs that took place there. And then we're going to get to recode those new upgrades all the way back to your conception through your gestation in the womb. And then you're going to get to receive the newborn, just like you're going to connect with this little girl that's going to show up from your childhood. You're going to get to receive the newborn. That's you coming into the world in a
Yeah.
very new kind of imprint, which is very different than the way you came into the world initially. And so this is going to start to recode a lot of things in your life and hopefully give you a new sense of safety, because that's where the safety piece really comes in, is in childhood. And so when we can give that safety to the inner child who never had it, by you being that attuned adult that you didn't have at the time, that changes everything.
It's exciting. It's daunting but exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to be here with you. You're going to have any questions you can ask, and it's just going to be a beautiful experience for you. So also,
Okay.
understand too, when we've been taught to stuff things down, to suppress things, to hold it together, that tends to be our primary response when emotions start to come up. And so I want to encourage you that this is a safe space to just allow the emotions to come up. So if you start to feel
Yeah.
emotional, try not to stuff it down because that's where the
Okay.
breakthrough is. It's on the other side of that
Yeah.
emotion. So if you can just allow yourself to be vulnerable, to experience that emotion and allow it to come up, that's going to help you move through the other side.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready. Got my tissues handy.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'm going to invite you just to go ahead and get comfortable there where you're seated and closing down your eyes gently as you bring your awareness to your breath, as you inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And with each breath, allowing your awareness to settle down in your body. In the same way your body is settling down into the chair. And with each breath, allowing your awareness to settle deeper and deeper into your body. And as you continue to breathe naturally, I want to invite you just to notice any sensations or particular areas of your body that are lighting up right now.
I feel quite jittery around here,
Where is here?
around my heart, sorry, and
Mm-hmm.
the heart and my chest.
Yeah, so it feels like some jitteriness in your heart, in your chest.
Yeah,
What else do you notice?
I've got an ache in my left hip,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the jitteriness is moving down. It's now in my stomach.
Mm-hmm. And so if you breathe into that sensation of jitteriness that you notice in your heart and down into your stomach, probably your solar plexus area, what does that feel like?
Feels like I need to do. It feels like I need to do something, like to move, or it feels like it's crying out for me to soothe my stomach in my hand.
Sure.
But I know it would be easier just to get up and move. I'll do this.
Yeah, so if you put your hand there and you breathe into that area and that sensation and you stay with it, what do you notice?
I feel more in my body, and it's actually subsiding.
And so now that you're staying with it, instead of running away from it, you're allowing yourself to be present with that feeling. If you bring your breath all the way into the epicenter, to the very center of that sensation, what do you notice?
I feel really far away. It's like it's quite strange being completely present with myself. Like I haven't felt this. It is alone, but I not necessarily in a bad way. But
So it feels like being alone. That's what you're noticing?
yeah,
Yeah. And it probably wasn't safe to feel that before. And so as you
yeah. Well,
notice, oh, sorry.
I feel like it's alone in a grounded way.
Hmm.
I think it is. I'm grounded. I don't. It is alone, but I like it's me. It's just me here, and in a stronger way.
Yeah, and it's safe to be here with these feelings that are coming up, with these sensations. In the past, it was safer to run away, and now it's safe to be here and be present. And so, if you lean in a little deeper, another layer deeper, what's the emotion underneath these feelings and sensations that you've noticed? What's the emotion that was hiding, suppressed there all this time?
Anger
Mm, what does that feel like?
kind of feels quite righteous anger,
Mm-hmm.
like not crazy. It's like a burning, like it's like shouting when you've got something you have to say. That's what it like that short-lived anger that comes out and then it's better afterwards.
Yeah, so there's this anger, this righteous anger that's burning to shout something out. What does it want to say?
It's to say, leave me alone.
Wow, leave me alone. Now, staying with that feeling that's coming up, I want to invite you to ask your body, your subconscious, to reveal when was the very first time that you felt that righteous anger, that burning desire to shout, leave me alone.
I just see myself running upstairs in my old house. I don't know why, but that just wanting to get just wanting to get to my bedroom and shut the door.
Good. More or less, how old are you?
4, I think.
Yeah. So I want to invite you to be the witness of this beautiful little 4-year-old girl. She's running up the stairs, trying to get to her room and shut the door and be left alone. And what's going on in that room?
It's just a safe place where I can be me and just be in my imagination if I want to be. And
Yeah.
and not have to pretend.
Yeah. And what is it like to recognize that?
It's like a relief.
Hmm.
It's just too much for a little kid to
To have to carry all
not
by
be
herself.
themselves. Yeah,
Yeah. And so as you're seeing this beautiful little 4-year-old girl alone, the only place, the only time it's safe to be herself in her imagination where she doesn't have to pretend. You as the adult now witnessing her, what did she need then that she didn't have?
just a hug and just reassurance, but no words, no trying to explain things to me. Just yeah, just reassurance that it's okay.
Yeah, so I want to invite you to do that for her. Imagine that you, as the adult now, are going to enter that scene. You're going to enter that room where she's hiding out alone and go ahead and give her that hug, that assurance that everything's okay, that she's okay, showing her in the way that she needs to feel. Does she believe you?
Yeah,
How's that feel for her?
just relieved, just and calmer. She's just calmer.
Is there somewhere else she'd like to go with you? Or would she like to stay in that room?
I think to the woods.
Hmm.
There was some woods near the house, and I just loved them.
Yeah, so go ahead and envision yourself taking her by the hand, however you like, going out into the woods together to explore, to connect with nature.
It just feels like all those things, like when I was a kid, and you want to touch the trees, and they've got faces in them, and just being able to indulge that, just
Yeah, she can experience her imagination and the safety and nature
yeah,
outside. Where before the only safety was hiding in her room and escaping into her imagination. So you're now giving her a new safe place out in nature to connect with you, to connect with nature, to play, to explore.
yeah,
How does that feel?
just feels amazing. It's just so natural. It's just really freeing.
And so as you see this big shift now into this sense of relief and freedom, what was the story that she had made up about herself when she had to run up to her room to be left alone, to feel safe, to not pretend? What story did she make up about herself?
That nobody would ever understand what it was like to be her.
Nobody understands her.
Yeah,
And what did that feel like for her that nobody understood her? What did she believe about herself because of that?
that she was different from other people, and other people didn't have such complicated thoughts. And
So she felt different.
yeah, and not in a good way. Like, when I say like she had an extra bit, an extra bit that people didn't have to, other people didn't have to deal with. Like a, it's like a knowing. It's like she knew things. I have to say this. She knew things that she just knew in her heart that were true or real, but she didn't know why. She didn't know why they were true or real, and other people couldn't get it.
And what was that like to know things that other people didn't get?
It's lonely, just hard,
Yeah.
and just almost like wanting not to be like that, and yeah, wanting to be like everybody else.
Did she feel like something was wrong with her?
Yeah,
Was that the story underneath all of that that she was telling herself? Or is it something different?
I think it's almost like that. Like your gift is also a burden. It's if having a sort of having knowings about things or being different to anyone else. Like like she knew it wasn't something. Yeah, I think it's guilt because having the sort of knowing about things and this feeling of like what's right, what's wrong that came from somewhere, not from parents or school or that sort of thing. I think knowing that it was probably like a gift, but seeing it as a burden, like wish I didn't feel things so deeply. I wish I does this make sense? Like I wish I could just not have those deep emotions or thoughts about things that seem to just be part of being me. So feeling like I wanted to get rid of that side of me, but
Hmm.
actually it was a really, but no, I think as well, even really young, knowing it was a privilege that not everybody had that.
Yeah, so she has this gift, and it also feels like a burden because nobody else gets it. No one else
Yeah,
thinks like this. No one else perceives reality like this.
and it just it makes life hard. It makes life hard having it.
So, was the story I'm too much?
Yeah,
When you hear that, what does that feel like?
just feel it in my chest, like it does feel like it's too much for a kid. It's too much for a little kid.
And can we release the shock and the trauma that you experienced when you were young and realizing that you had this gift that also felt like a burden because no one got it, no one understood.
Yeah.
You felt so alone. Can we send that shock and trauma up to the Creator's light? And can we also release that sense of pressure in the chest, in the head, that feeling that she had to be small, to shrink down, to be silent, to not speak about it, to not share who she is? And can we download that her feelings matter and that she knows what it feels like to know that her feelings matter, that she's worthy of mattering? And can we also download the Creator's highest definition and perspective of safety all the way down into your root chakra so that you know what it feels like to be safe, that it's safe to be safe, it's safe to be in your body, it's safe to be you, it's safe to have this gift. It's safe to see reality in ways that other people may not always understand. And can we also teach her what it feels like to know that she's always connected to all that is? This feeling that she's getting in the woods when she's connecting to the trees and the faces, to the grass, the birds, the clouds, the sun, all the little sounds, all of the textures, the sensations. And can we teach her what it's like to know that she's always connected to all that is? And can we replace those old experiences of being so alone, of having to retreat alone, to hide in her room in order to feel safe? And can we also download the Creator's highest definition and perspective of acceptance so that you know what it feels like to be accepted, to accept yourself, to be accepted by the Creator, to be accepted by all that is, and to know that you have a place in all that is. And can we also download from the Creator that you were designed to be exactly who you are? That there's nothing wrong with you, that you came into this world in this perfect divine blueprint. And can we also download the Creator's highest definition and perspective of unconditional love into every cell of your body, into the space between your cells, all the way into your mitochondria, and all the way out to the expanses of your auric field? And can we clear this program, I'm too much? Can we pull, cancel, and delete that on all levels, resolve and complete it on the history level, pulling that backwards and forwards in time, across all space and time, all lifetimes, all languages ever spoken, all dimensions and alternate realities, now in the highest and best way? And can we download instead that you are exactly as you were designed by your creator, that this is your divine birthright, that you were designed to become who you are, that you're worthy of existing as who you are, that you're worthy of these gifts. And can we also release any of those old feelings of burden around your gifts, clearing those distortions so that you know now that you're worthy of fully stepping into your gifts, of expressing your gifts, of knowing that your gifts have a place in this world, that you have a place in this world, and that your gifts are actually really needed in this world. And can we download that it's safe for you to express these gifts now? And it's okay if other people don't understand them. And can we give you full permission to embody these gifts so that you can connect with like minded community, with kindred spirits, with people who want to experience your gifts, who are craving to have the kind of conversations and experiences that you want to share with people? Can we download that it's possible for you to live like this? This is a new experience. What would be the worst thing if you were fully embodying these gifts and you were surrounded by people who appreciated you and loved to experience these conversations and the things that you wanted to share? What would be the worst thing about that?
To realize how much time I wasted.
So, can we release you from any self judgment, any self blame, any harshness toward yourself that you may have felt for wasting time? And can we also validate that everything happened exactly as it had to, exactly as it was meant to, and that you're in perfect, impeccable divine timing? What does that feel like?
It feels light. I feel, yeah, just feel really good. Like, yeah, ready to go out and tackle the world.
So, can we fully
Yeah.
call back your power from any time that you gave away your power in the past in order to feel safe, in order to be small, in order to be hidden, in order to avoid the criticism or being told that you're wrong or too much? Can we also call back your power from any time that you felt disempowered in your own narrative and the stories that you were telling yourself about who you are, about what was wrong with you? And can we also call back all of your soul fragments washed and cleansed in the Creator's purest light and return to the rightful owner anyone else's soul fragments that you may have picked up, washed and cleansed in the Creator's purest light? And so as you see this beautiful little 4-year-old now, what do you notice about her?
She's smiling. She looks younger. She looks, yeah, just glowing.
Beautiful. So I want to invite you to bring her into your heart and to promise her this forever home with you, that you're always there with her, that she always has a place with you, that she can always share with you any of these big ideas and thoughts that she has, her feelings, her needs, that you are a place of safety and acceptance, that she's wanted, and that she's never too much. And is there anything that you would tell her to honor these gifts that she has?
Yeah, to just do what you want to do what you need to do, because one day it'll all make sense.
Beautiful. And so now, with these upgraded codes, I want to invite you to go all the way back to the very moment of your conception, the moment that those two cells met and became one, the very beginning of your gestation in your mother's womb. And can we also release any physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual toxins that you may have absorbed from your mother, from her environment, from the people around you, from their thoughts, from their fears, from their opinions, their perspectives, their pain, and their projections? And can we bring in these new codes now of safety, acceptance, self trust, of knowing that you're coming into this world for a reason, that you're bringing with you these gifts that are also coming from your ancestral lineage. And that there's a reason you have these gifts, and there's a reason that you're going to be born. And so now I want to invite you to enter the scene now as the attuned adult, the moment that you are being born, that this beautiful little newborn is coming into the world. And I want to invite you to receive her into your arms, to give her that love, that acceptance, that cherishing, that recognition, the openness of wanting to discover who she is, what she's into, what she likes, what she wants to explore, to discover who she's going to become in this world, and to allow her that freedom of expression, knowing that she matters, that her feelings matter, that her opinions matter, that her experiences matter. And when you're ready, you can bring that beautiful newborn into your heart, offering her forever home with you. She's now fully reconnected with you, feeling safe, feeling accepted, feeling wanted. And can we update your nervous system now to reflect the updates made today? Can we also reset the frontal lobe, reflecting the updates made to your self concept, your identity, who you are? And can we also update all of your chakras to reflect the upgrades made today? And can we also update the DNA and the morphogenic field around the DNA to reflect the upgrades made today? And can we file away those old memories in the Akashic records, validating that it was real, it mattered, and it happened? And you're also free now to step forward into new horizons, new possibilities, new opportunities, new experiences, free from those old constraints, free from those old fears, free from the old isolation and loneliness. And can we download that it can be easy for you to integrate these upgrades and changes, that you can do so with ease and grace, that you know how to, that you're worthy of it, and that it's possible to begin experiencing life from this new perspective. And can we also download that you can continue to grow into these gifts, to learn from these gifts, free from having to suffer, free from having to experience that old pain, free from the old burden that once came with those gifts. And so as you visualize now, starting to share yourself a little more, starting to share your gifts a little more with the world around you, what does that feel like?
It's real free, just free and moving forward, like being able to give back and receive, like in the flow. It's like stepping into a river, just that I've been sitting on the edge of for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah,
And as you visualize other people interacting with you, how are they responding?
smiling and being interested and sharing,
What does that feel like?
just lovely. It's just easy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Creator. It is done, it is done, it is done, and so it is.
Thank you. God, wow.
What was that like for you?
It's so intense, isn't it? It's so intense, but I felt really safe. So thank you for that, because I was you were definitely keep holding the space, otherwise I'd have been gone. But yeah, it was just lovely. Like when I went into my bedroom with that little girl, it's like, God, that's what I just needed, a friend like that. Just yeah. I feel really light already. Like just yeah.
What surprised you the most?
The anger, because I thought the anger came a lot later, but to see it like yeah, even at that age, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, it feels like when we went back to the conception bits where you feel like it's going back up through the ancestors as well. It's like it's not just going forward, is it? For my life, it's and people that come after me, it's going backwards as well. It's
It's like the ripple effect.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and just this strange sensation of like maybe there's some future version of me that's made this happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Uh-huh.
time isn't the way we think it is, isn't it? It loops back and
Exactly.
yeah. And I think that's the other thing. I think you said it's like it happens at the right time, doesn't it? So rather than think, oh, I should have done this years ago, it's now, isn't it? It's that's how it unfolds. Um,
Exactly. In
yeah,
perfect, impeccable, divine timing.
yeah. Gosh. Yeah, I'm not often lost for words, but it's it's really odd because obviously you're emotional and it's hard, but it's also really lovely going through it, even though it's tough. I just don't know. It's you just you can feel the healing even way back in the beginning when we're going back to that girl. It's not like other forms where it's like you've got to purge out all this horrible stuff and it's just like yeah, this is getting done now, this is dealt with, this is yeah.
Yeah, it's like honoring the truth that she was feeling that she wasn't able to express to anyone else because no one could hear her truth. She had to stuff it down. So as you were able to see that and honor her truth, we didn't have to stay stuck in it.
Yeah,
And we could start to transmute that. And you very quickly
yeah,
were able to get to the gift, that there was a
yeah,
gift underneath all that burden too. And that's the
yeah,
beautiful thing when we can transmute that pain, there's always medicine there.
yeah. And I think the other thing that sort of occurred to me when I was a kid, always wanted to just be in nature. And I was, I had lots of opportunity, but that just feeling of like, I need to go to the woods. And I could remember there was a fallen tree. I remember it and I was just loved it. And yeah, just that was the place we had to go. And yeah, it was good. And it's a place we'll go again, I'm sure, like in my mind.
Yeah, so that's probably something really key for you to connect to your inner child, to keep developing this relationship is spending time in nature and just allowing
Mm,
yourself to get into that playfulness, that exploration, the imagination,
yeah,
the connection with all
I
that
think,
is.
yeah. No, I should be taking myself to the woods, definitely. Yeah, because that's the thing as well. I know that's what makes my soul sing. So I need to be. I am going to do that. I am going to take the time. Thank you so much. I am still a bit lost for words. Yeah.
You did a great job, amazing job. It was just
Thank
beautiful
you.
to witness that experience you had. And it's going to be interesting to see what starts to shift for you now as you start stepping forward into these new experiences, free
Yeah.
from those old burdens. So I'm going to give you some journaling to do over the next couple weeks. Of course, if you have any questions, reach out. But these
Yeah.
journaling questions, you may want to revisit them multiple times because things are going to keep shifting for you. You're going to get insights, maybe through dreams, maybe just through random moments, maybe through like actually
Yeah.
feeling your little inner child asking for a little attention sometimes, and just giving her that, honoring that, noticing how you show up differently with people, maybe even in random situations at the grocery store,
Yeah.
maybe before you would have had a different reaction. And noticing, what that inner safety starts to feel like, because there's this new inner safety that's starting to grow in a place where there
Yeah.
wasn't before. Most of us didn't get that foundation of safety in childhood for one reason or another.
Yeah.
It just was what it was. And so now you're starting to develop that. And so you're going to interact with the world differently. You're going to interact with yourself differently.
I can't wait to get out and see it in action. I'll be gentle with myself for a couple of days, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would definitely
Yeah.
recommend drinking some extra water. I know it's already evening over there, but try to
Yeah.
drink some water to flush, because we just did a huge like detox basically. So to flush a lot of the
Yeah.
toxins, be gentle with yourself. You also may need more rest. Sometimes people feel more tired. sometimes people, you felt the lightness, and usually we feel the lightness, but also sometimes,
Yeah.
like as we clear this heavy burden, sometimes people get suddenly exhausted because they finally realize just how exhausting it was for all these decades to be carrying around this
Yeah.
heavy burden. And like
Yeah.
there was a disconnect before, right? Like a numbness that we couldn't feel it. So every person is a little different. Just honor your experience, and allow your experience to be the right experience for you. So if you need to rest, then rest. If you feel like rolling around in the grass, then roll around in the grass.
Might do that tomorrow when it's light, but yeah. Oh no, thank you so much. I say I felt really, really safe, and that's you couldn't do that work without that, could you?
Exactly.
You couldn't let go. So yeah, thank you so much.
And it's so interesting because a lot of what you described in the ancestral reflections, there's all these little conflicts. Like the conflict holds us back from making a decision, from taking action. It kind of makes us feel powerless or even apathetic because it seems like there's no easy answer to the conflict.
Yeah, yeah. I think I really realised that sort of the mixed messages and my mum that she is kind of quite free thinking in conversations and what she believes, but she's very much like, but you don't want to do that because you don't want to stand out from the crowd. And the comment she made about, well, sometimes you've just got to do the easy thing,
Right.
even if it's up against everything you believe in. And it's that's how she's kind of survived, I suppose, and coped. But it was yeah, it was really interesting for it to be sort of that transparent. And as I say, she was the one that sort of inspired me to think for myself, don't follow the crowd and all the rest of it, but also be a good girl, do what you're told. Don't raise your head or disagree with someone in authority. So that's really interesting. And again, like seeing the sort of the mismatch of the paternal line, the maternal line, but it's that same thing that you can't kind of be authentic. There's a danger in being authentic, I suppose, whether that's because you get overtaken by emotions or because, other things happen to you and that's why you just keep it all, very stiff upper lip kind of thing. I think there's a bit of a mismatch because on one side of the family, there's kind of dramatic emotional outbursts, which are then suppressed and shut down and never spoken about again. So you was a bit like, what was that about? And then the other side, which is you don't show it. People had really tough things happen to them, but they were very stoic about it. And I think that's why I've always been quite attracted to people who do show their emotions, who wear their emotions on the sleeve, because it was sort of fascinating to me that people could kind of just show how they were feeling. And yeah, and the memory I had, my grandma passed away when I was about 16, and I just remember I had no idea it was happening. She'd been ill for quite a while, but we had no idea. And we rushed up to see her, and sadly she'd passed away while we were driving up there. My mum went to see her, and my dad took me and my cousin to go and buy a textbook for our exams because we were near the town, so it made sense to do it. And it was just this bizarre sort of, it's the most dramatic thing that had ever happened to me as first person that I'd lost. And it was this sort of practical, well, there's nothing we can do about it, and we're here now, and we need to do this task. So let's just get that done. And I think it was obviously his way of dealing with two teenage girls. He's probably well out of his depth. But I was like, wow, yeah, that was something. And we didn't go to her funeral, which we were old enough. We could have handled it.
You mentioned the unacknowledged grief that you've experienced and that exists in your lineages as well. That seems like an example of that. And so
Yeah,
interesting how you described, it sounds like both of your lineages came from Scotland.
yeah,
Everybody was forced to come down to England to work. They had to leave their homeland. There was this like rupture of culture and land and connection.
yeah,
And you describe your dad, the only times you've really seen your dad cry were when he talks about family and
yeah.
reminisces. Whereas on your mom's side, it's kind of like deleting the past and suppressing and not talking and secrecy.
So yeah, on my dad's side, I've always kind of known the family history, and it was spoken about in a very sort of matter of fact way because there were a lot of hard times. but there was also a real pride in how the family dealt with it. So my gran came down from Scotland when she was first married, and the rest of her siblings followed her basically as soon as they were old enough to. So she kind of created this new family set up, a long way from Scotland, but she had her accent. She lived down in England for, God, it must have been 60 years, I think, but she still had a really strong Scottish accent. And holidays were always going back to see the family. And, we used to joke about it because you couldn't go back to Scotland and not visit everybody, because it would get found out. But there was a real pride in where they'd come from and the sort of family stories. And that does give you kind of a rootedness. Like, as I say, even though my granddad passed away before I was born, I did feel like I knew him and I knew what kind of person he was. And yeah, my dad is very no nonsense, very kind of practical. I wouldn't say he's particularly spiritual, but there's been a couple of weird little happenings, and he hasn't, I'd expect him to go, "Oh, load of nonsense," but he doesn't. And yeah, I find that kind of quite comforting, really. But yeah, and my mum's side, I absolutely adored my grandma and granddad, and I just saw them as fun loving, and they absolutely adored all their grandchildren. But there was this sort of disapproval of them that I've never really understood, and I think some of it is a sort of shame around the poverty. And I think maybe because the paternal line, there was a lot of hard work. People travelled for jobs, and the other side of the family worked hard too, but they weren't as successful. And I think there was that kind of split because on the paternal line, people made some really big sacrifices for the sake of family and providing for the family. And my granddad on maternal side, he served in the Second World War, but he just had it really good. He just never saw any conflict or any battle. So he used to sort of talk about these amazing time he'd had, when there obviously wasn't great times for everybody else. But he didn't have any qualifications. It was the best thing he ever did. Joining up, he got to travel the world. So yeah, it was yeah, strange. But as I say, there's that sort of this unknown sort of disapproval there. And as I say, I don't know anything really much past my grandparents. I know bits and pieces about where people lived, but I don't know them. I don't have any sense of them. And I think there's definitely on that side of the family, there's definitely been lots of depression. I think with lots of people. Yeah, so it's interesting to think where that's originated from, or where it started.
Yeah, because when we can't feel things and we have to stuff it down, particularly anger, that turns into depression.
Yeah,
And that can also lead to hiding from life, giving up, not trying. It's really interesting that you mentioned this theme on both sides, probably something going back to leaving Scotland, which is life is hard.
yeah,
This
yeah,
program that seems to be on both sides of your lineage.
yeah,
And so you also described developing like a hard outer shell to cope with life and work and all these decisions that were made without your agency, decisions that were made for you, not having
yeah,
agency in those, feeling powerless about them, and how this probably connects to your ancestry.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I really think the moving thing, I'd never kind of, I talked about having to move when I was a child. I'd never really sort of connected it to the ancestral stuff, but obviously people did have to move because there really was no choice in those days. And people made difficult decisions to leave. My gran was left with a small child, so my granddad could go abroad to earn money because that was the only work available. He didn't want to go. I think he went a couple of times. The first time probably was okay with going, but then he was sent back. And yeah, that just really makes me think about my move, maybe why I found it so traumatic, and I still have these dreams of moving and it being a terrible mistake, whether that's in some way connected back.
It makes
Yeah.
so much sense because both sides of the lineage were forced to move. They were forced to leave home, family, culture,
Yeah.
land, everything that they knew and loved. And then those patterns repeating again. So, like your grandfather having to go abroad, going
Yeah.
somewhere else, leaving
Yeah.
his wife and child and home and family just to survive. So, this
Yeah.
repetition of life is hard and we have to make all these sacrifices and it brings this pain, but we also can't talk about the pain
Yeah.
or acknowledge the grief. We just have to move on.
That's it. And I think on the paternal side, there was always this feeling like, what, whatever happened, there would always be somebody worse off than you. So you should sort of be grateful because, you had a job to go to, or, your mother died, but your dad was still here, or it was always that sort of trying to find the energy to just get on with it. And on the maternal side, there was this feeling again that life was really hard, but yeah, the sort of depression of like, oh, and there's just nothing you can do to change it. Life is just always tough. It's
Right.
yeah, and I did believe that for a long, long time. I say I suffered from depression for a long time, and then I've managed to get myself through that, because it is the outlook, and obviously I've got a lot more choices than people had, but there was a sort of almost like a dwelling in depression, I think, for some people certainly. And I know there were a couple of people on that side. There was agoraphobia as well, so people who didn't really go out very often, but it wasn't ever sort of spoken about. It was just, you had to go and see great grand because she didn't ever go out, sort of thing. No, didn't question it at the time, but looking back now, I can see that was a bigger issue, and I think that was all to do with being scared. It's yeah.
Yeah, and also that the rupture from home, and so
Yeah.
feeling the safety of home and not wanting to go out.
Yeah, yeah, very much. I think home's been a really, it's always really important to me. It doesn't really matter where it is, but I need to have a base and I need to have some things around me. It doesn't have to be very much, but even when I go to a hotel room, I'm like, I make it my own. It's going to be my home for the next few days. So I don't even know what I do. I don't know. My husband will just go and fling his suitcase in the wardrobe and go out, whereas I'm there, where am I going to put this? And, that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah, so this is great. So I think we're really uncovering the energy of what's there. We're activating that energy packet from the ancestry. I'm going to guide you into your body and we're going to track the sensations that we've just been talking about. All of these ideas of life is hard and all of this. And then I'm going to invite you through the morphogenic field around your DNA, which is like the data cloud. You know how on your computer you just
yeah,
upload this. So where does it go? I don't know, but it's there somewhere, right?
yeah.
All of that information of your lineage is in the data cloud of the morphogenic field of your DNA. And your DNA is like the movie projector. So then I'm going to invite you to track that back to the origin, to whichever ancestor wants to come forward, whichever reel from history wants to show up. And that's what you're going to start to connect with. And then we're going to connect with that ancestor, what happened. We're going to help liberate the ancestor, help you liberate yourself, and make a new agreement with the ancestor. And then we're
Okay,
going to set everybody free so that you can then move on from these patterns. Your ancestor can move on. And then this can be offered as a new code for anybody else in your lineage who wants to tune into it.
excellent. Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. So I'm going to invite you just to go ahead and get comfortable there where you're seated and closing down your eyes and bringing your awareness to your breath as you inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And as you continue breathing naturally, allowing your awareness to settle down in your body in the same way your body is settling down in the chair. And with each breath, allowing your awareness to settle deeper and deeper into your body. And so, knowing that your DNA is like a movie projector, and in the morphogenic field of your DNA is the data, all the history, all the reels and tapes from your ancestors about what happened in both of your lineages. And I want to invite you to ask the memory to come forward of the ancestor who wants to show you where the origin of this pattern happened. Life is really hard. This feeling of separation, rupture from land, home, family, culture, what's familiar, what you loved, being forced to cope, to put on this hard outer shell, to survive, to work, to provide, the sense of powerlessness, not having real choices. And let me know when someone shows up.
It's really odd because when I was doing the journaling, out of nowhere just came a girl, teenage girl with red hair, and she just showed up straight away. I didn't sort of focus on it when I was journaling.
Amazing. So you see a teenager with red hair, and what's going on around her? What's her environment like?
It's quite wild and rugged, and she's in the countryside and the wild weather.
Is she alone? Are there people around her?
She's on her own.
And what's she doing?
It's just standing outside, enjoying being outside.
Oh, kind of like how you like to be in nature.
Yeah, there's nothing around. There's no, it's definitely not a town or a village.
And what was happening in her life in that period of time?
It was illness in the,
People were getting sick.
yeah.
What
Ooh,
was that like for her?
so strange. It feels like she was all right. She was all right where she was, but she couldn't stay there. The people that being sick, she could cope with that, but yeah, she had to go because it was felt no one could look after her, but she felt she could look after herself.
And what happened to her family?
I think they passed away, but after she'd been made to go, oh,
So she feels alone?
I think she feels out of place. I think she had to go from there with people she didn't know and didn't want to be there.
Ah, how did she cope with all of this?
Anger.
Mm-hmm.
She, oh my God. She got into trouble and she was physically punished. Oh,
Who punished her?
teacher. Oh,
Did she get in trouble for speaking up about something?
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Can we release the shock and the trauma that she experienced when she got punished for speaking up? Can we also release the shock and the trauma of losing her family, of witnessing all the illness, of people getting sick and dying, and also releasing the shock and trauma of being left alone and having to leave her homeland, having to move somewhere else with people she didn't even know in order to survive, in order to keep going?
yeah, that feels better.
And so, what was the story she was telling herself about life, going through all these experiences?
You need to be away from other people to be safe, and that
Wow.
feeling that people can make you do things if they know about you. I just feel like if nobody had known she was there, she would have stayed and she would probably have been all right. It's that people taking her for her own good, but she knew what was right for her and she knew what was her own good.
So, she had no agency in the decision, and she felt that she could have made a better decision for herself.
Yeah,
Yeah, can we call back her power from those experiences, from any other time and place and event and people who she had to give away her power in order to survive and feel safe? And can we also call back her power from any time that she felt disempowered in her own narrative and the stories she was telling herself?
yeah,
And can we also call back her soul fragments, washed and cleansed in the Creator's purest light, and returning to rightful owner anybody else's soul fragments that she may have picked up along the way, washed and cleansed in the Creator's purest light? And so she learned that she wanted to be away from people in order to be safe. How did
Yeah.
that play out in her life as she grew older?
She didn't marry.
Wow. Did she have any children?
No.
Did she have any sense of family, community?
She had a brother. There was a brother. She had a young brother, and they were separated.
Oh, wow. During the illness time?
Yeah.
Did she ever get to see him again?
Yeah. When they were grown up, they found each other. I feel like she was like a strange auntie to his children.
And what was the story that she made up about herself based on all of these experiences and the life choices that she made to cope with what had happened to her?
That the only way to stay safe was to stay away from people,
And what did that mean about her?
just to try and go unnoticed.
Ah, to go
I,
unnoticed.
yeah,
So it's not safe to,
it's not safe to be noticed.
it's not
It's
safe to be noticed.
yeah. She learned that through school, and she just learned not to not to stand up publicly, not to speak out publicly, but inside she stayed angry.
So she kept the anger inward.
Yeah.
And what happened to that anger? Did she continue to act out and speak out, or did it turn into depression?
She didn't speak out. She was lonely. It was loneliness.
And what
And
did that loneliness feel like?
just sitting with all her feelings on her own, nobody to talk to about it, no outlet for it.
How did she cope with that?
She became numb to it.
So she learned how to numb all those heavy feelings.
Yeah,
It was too much to feel.
yeah,
And she felt really lonely, holding all these feelings that she couldn't talk about.
yeah.
And can we release that sense of loneliness that she experienced? Can we also release her from having to numb and shut everything down in order to feel safe, in order to survive? What did she learn from the anger? How did it serve her to carry that anger?
Kept her safe
In what way?
because it kept her away from people.
Hmm.
I feel that she was worried about the anger coming out, worried about it erupting. So the way to protect herself from that was to stay away and internalize it.
So there's something about how, so this worrying about the anger erupting, it's like she didn't trust herself to what?
To not, I don't want to say overreact because it's not overreacting. Yeah, it feels like she didn't trust herself to not go too far, and then she would end up like incarcerated or something like that.
Yeah. So, but what's the story she made up about herself because of that anger, because of this inability to trust herself, to not know how to express it in a way that wouldn't be too far or that wouldn't get her in trouble or incarcerated or
She
maybe
had a
killed.
she had an uncontrollable temper. It feels like she had this message that it was wrong to feel the
It's
things she
wrong to
felt.
feel. Right. So society, people around her taught her that it's wrong to feel it. It's wrong to express it.
Yeah,
It's better to stuff it down.
yeah,
So can we also release the worry, the shame, any false guilt that she took on for speaking up, for standing up, for expressing herself, for having this anger, the grief, any other emotions? And can we have the creator teach her that it's safe to share this truth, to express this truth with you in this space together, and that this can be a healing opportunity? Can we have the creator teach her that this can be very different now than the past, that speaking here is welcome, it's honored, it's received, that it's safe for her to be met in this space because we're here in this space to allow her to liberate herself from this burden she's been carrying. What's this really heavy truth that she hasn't spoken? It's not really true, but it's something she believed to be true about herself.
She felt like it was her fault that people got ill.
Wow. How did she learn that?
I feel like her parents wanted to leave and they didn't. She didn't want to leave, so they all stayed, and they stayed too long. I feel
I'm getting super chills. So I feel
yeah,
like
me
you're really
too.
on, you're really on to something here. So can we release her from that heaviness of the guilt that she was carrying all those years, from having to cope with that by being angry at herself for not making a different decision? Can we fully release her from that and also any sense of blame or fault for wanting to stay in her homeland and her home and where she was from? And what do you notice about her now?
She's back to the girl that I saw in the beginning, and she seems calmer. And the weird, the weather's calmer around her.
Beautiful. And so I want to invite you to make a new agreement with your ancestor. The old agreement was it's not safe to be noticed.
Yeah,
And this agreement isn't really serving you anymore, is it?
no, no,
Yeah. And would she like to also make a new agreement with you?
yeah,
Yeah. So what's the new agreement that you and your ancestor are going to make to replace that old one?
but it's safe to be who we are.
It's safe to be who we are.
Yeah,
Is it safe to know what you want?
yeah,
It's safe to know what you want.
and it's safe to express what you want,
It's safe to express what you want.
and it's what the world needs. It
Hmm.
sounds so strange. I've just got this feeling like she had so much. She had so much knowledge that she wanted to share, like so much. I don't know.
What kind of knowledge did you have? I'm getting chills as you're saying
Just,
that.
just really wise, and I feel like just like plants, medicines, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
She knew how to feed herself. She knew how to survive. She knew how to live off the land.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you're also interested in
yeah,
all of these things.
I know. Yeah,
So can we invite her to go ahead and step into this new way of living? I want to invite you to envision her living in a new way where it's safe to be who she is, it's safe to know what she wants, it's safe to express what she wants, it's safe to be herself, and it's actually what the world needs. Can you envision her really sharing that knowledge, trusting that knowledge, teaching other people that knowledge, living off the land, loving that experience?
I can see her like in a cottage, and there's just kids sitting on the floor, and she's telling them stories, and yeah,
What's that like for her?
it's it's just peaceful and it's real. It's yeah,
Does it feel safe for her to be with people? There's kids all
yeah,
around her.
yeah, it does.
And what's it like for her to experience the safety of that community, of being with people who love her and want to hear what she has to say?
There's just like a real warmth about her. There's just like a glow in here. Sorry, in my heart, and
Mhm.
it's just easy. It's just yeah, it's easy, and like
Like,
moving in a rhythm, in her own rhythm, not rushing to do anything, pottering about. Just
so
yeah,
life is easy? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah, yeah.
And what does she want to share with you now that she's experiencing this new way of being connected to people, of being connected to her knowledge, to her gifts, to her skills, of knowing that life is just easy and that she has this freedom?
That it's mine as well.
Wow.
Yeah. It feels like she's saying, I've been trying to get your attention for all this time.
Wow. How was she trying to get your attention?
Just like the little insights you have sometimes, like oh, when you're out in when I'm out foraging and things like that, it's like sometimes oh, even just yeah, when you just spot something out of the ordinary. Well,
Do you feel like sometimes when you're out doing that, you have a knowledge that nobody's ever taught you?
yeah, very much, very much. And I'm not going to eat a red berry just because I get a good feeling about it, but definitely there's like yeah. And I think back to being a kid, I was just always making little potions and just noticing unusual things like picking up pine cones or bits of bark, that kind of thing. And I just, I know I've got Scottish heritage, but just this connection to heather. Just when you see heather and like this sounds really weird, but always this idea of making a bed from it. I never have, but the idea that you could just lie on it and sleep in it, and yeah,
And so, how do you see yourself in her story? You have these gifts, you have this knowledge, you have this joy of connecting to nature and the herbs and the plants. How else do you see your life in similar ways that your ancestor experienced?
I think it's that decisions being made for you
Mhm.
and not being able to do what you just believe is right, and the feeling of not speaking up when you need to and stuffing it down.
Yeah, so can we also release that sense of powerlessness that was trapped in your lineage all this time? And can we also restore from the Creator's highest definition and perspective what it is to make a decision, the freedom to make a decision, that you're allowed to, that you're worthy of it, that you know how to, and that you remember how to make decisions on a daily basis? And can we also release any hooks, cords, plugs, and imprints connected to old or present experiences when decisions were made for you or someone in your lineage, when you
Yeah,
didn't have the agency, when you didn't have the choice, when you couldn't do what you believe is right? Can we release that sensation of captivity, of paralysis, of having to go along?
yeah,
Can we also reset your fifth chakra now, according to these new definitions and perspectives of knowing how to speak up and when to speak up and how to do
mm,
so in the highest and best way? And also having the Creator's highest discernment of when and how and with whom to speak up. And can we download that this is your divine birthright, your freedom of expression?
yeah,
And can we also release you from needing anyone else to co-sign on your opinions, your perspectives? Can we also release you from internalizing anyone else's thoughts, feelings, perspectives, opinions, pain, and projections? Giving you now full autonomy over your perception of reality, your perception of self, your ability to express. And can we also release that old sense of being frozen in the moment when you wanted to speak but couldn't speak, the paralysis of that conflict?
yeah,
And can we also download that it can be easy to make these decisions, to know what you want, to speak up for what you want, to say what you need to say, even if other people disagree, and it's okay and you're still safe, even if other people disagree with you. And so I'm being drawn back to this thing that you mentioned before about how when you were maybe a teenager, you were really into herbs and plants, and something happened with your mom, and you kind of put it aside or something.
yeah. I was just, I think as a child, I was drawn to it and played around with things. And then I think I was maybe 16, 17, and somebody had lent me a book on, I think it was herbal magic, and it was I just made notes in it, like, what rosemary was good for and that kind of thing. And just in a little exercise book, drawing little pictures and all the rest of it. And my mum found the book and just freaked out at me. Um, and that was that, you know. Um,
What was she afraid of?
that that I was getting into something that wasn't socially acceptable, you know.
Wow.
It's yeah. I think as well that the idea I did have how to say this. Even when I was a teenager, I still had quite an imagination, so I would go off into a little world of my own and that kind of thing. And I think there was that sort of like we got to grow up, be in the real world sort of thing, stop daydreaming. And I think it was kind of linked to that. I probably should have been studying for something else. Um, but I remember the feeling of the book. It was just, it was like coming home. It was like you said, it's something you've known before, and it was just seeing it there on paper. I mean, I can't even remember the book, and it wasn't anything earth-shattering, but it was just in those days there wasn't that sort of thing around, and yeah, I was just fascinated by it. Um, and I think it was that again, like, oh, you're going above the radar, you know. That's not what people talk about, herbal magic. But you know, herbal magic is herbal medicine. You know, it's not anything strange. But
So isn't that
yeah,
interesting that you were the same age as your ancestor?
yeah. Oh God, yeah,
It's wild how the
yeah,
ancestral loops happen at particular ages. So, can we also release the shock and the trauma that you experienced that day when you had discovered this amazing stuff that you felt so connected to? It felt like home to you. You got really excited and passionate about it. And then your mom freaked out. Can we release you from all of the crushing, I'm feeling like heartbreak, the
yeah,
heartbreak that happened in that day? Can we send a healing to your heart? And can we also have the creator download for you that it's safe for you to know what you love? It's safe for you to step into your gifts and your medicine in the ways that your soul feels drawn to. And can we also release you from having to please society in any kind of way, from having to co-sign on society's dogma about what's okay and what's acceptable and what's grown up? And can we allow you to make those decisions for yourself?
yeah. That feels really good. It's not such a small little thing that happened, but yeah,
But huge.
yeah, yeah,
And so now, as you envision yourself going out into the woods or reading books about herbal medicine, talking to people about these things, what does that feel like?
yeah. It feels good. And it feels like it's really needed as well. It's like, you know, what I've been learning on my own, there is a need for it. There's other people that want to know about it. And yeah, it'll be good to share.
Yeah, so would you like to know that you have full permission to do that? That you don't need anyone else's permission to do so?
Yeah,
What does that feel like?
no, it feels really good. It just feels, yeah, liberating. And I feel like she's there saying, like, and if you're ever not sure, just ask me.
She's part of you. She's
Yeah,
part of your heritage, your lineage. This wisdom is yours. It's your
yeah.
divine birthright.
Oh.
Is there anything else that your ancestor wants to tell you before we set her free to go enjoy this new life that she's living now, free from all those old burdens?
She's proud of us.
Is she proud of herself?
Yeah.
Is she happy in the new life, this new way of being and existing?
Very, very, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, and so I want to invite you to go ahead and express your gratitude to her as well for showing up today, for showing up all along in the ways that maybe you noticed or didn't notice in the past when she was always there, when her wisdom was always there as part of you. And thanking her for being so brave to reveal to us today what had happened so that we can set her free, that we can set you free, and we can offer these new codes now to your entire lineage.
Yeah. I just feel really grateful to her for being there and grateful for choosing me and this moment to do this work. It's yeah. it just feels really, it just feels like such a lovely connection. It's yeah.
Beautiful. So, can we release those old feelings of being unsafe around people, of being unsafe to speak up and to stand up from the amygdala? Can we reset the amygdala and the limbic system? And can we also reset the frontal lobe according to this new self concept that you've made today? And can we release any of that primal fear from the brainstem, resetting the brainstem as well? And can we go ahead and reset your nervous system and update according to these new codes that you've experienced today? And can we update all of your chakras to reflect these new codes and updates? Updating also your DNA and the morphogenic field around your DNA to reflect these upgrades. And can we go ahead and offer all of these codes, all of these upgrades to anyone else's soul in your lineage, past, present, or future, who would like to tune in? Also validating that each soul has free will, that they may choose to opt in or not to any of these new codes, that they're free to do so, that they're worthy of experiencing this new way of living and being. And can we also update the Akashic records with these new codes and this new story, closing the book on that old story, placing it back on the shelf and validating that it was real, it mattered, and it happened. And it's also safe now to move forward in a new way, into new experiences, new opportunities, new possibilities, and that it can be easy to integrate this, that you can integrate it with grace, with effortlessness, in the highest and best way. And can we download the Creator's highest definition of unconditional love into every cell of your body, into the space between your cells, all the way into the mitochondria, and all the way out to the expanses of your auric field? Thank you. It is done. It is done. It is done. And so it is.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I feel like my aura's out. Oh gosh, that was so strange. As I say, when I was doing those journals and I saw this sort of wild red-headed girl, and I was just like, yeah, but focus, focus on what you're doing. I did jot it down, but I didn't send it to you. And yeah, and there she was.
Amazing.
Yeah. Phew.
So amazing too. I often see how the age of a person reflects the ancestral loop of the exact age where something happened to the ancestor. It's really
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. It's just as well though. It's just amazing that they're there, aren't they? And they want to do this, and we are all part of this dance. It's yeah,
And how the lineage is like frozen, repeating that past, trying to fix it, but not
yeah,
knowing how. And so wild how so many of these different threads all connected to one
yeah.
story.
And that feeling as well. Like I said, when I sort of found that herbalism book, it was just like it was like coming home. It's hard to describe it, isn't it? But it's like when you've been to somewhere and you're like, I've been here before. It's you can't explain it, but it's familiar, and that's why it's yeah.
Yeah, what was your big takeaway from this experience today?
I think like how it can just be lifted. It's just it you have to kind of experience it because I say we spend so much time thinking, don't we? And with counselling, you're ruminating over this, and it doesn't have to be, does it? It's like you feel it. She was there. She was showing me how it was, and then it can be just lifted like that. It's as I say, mind blowing, isn't it? And yeah, it's
Yeah, it's a different way of healing,
yeah,
releasing, integrating.
yeah. But I've since the last session, I've just had this sort of feeling of my future self being my ally. So whatever happens, she's got it, So in 20 years' time, if there's something I'm struggling with, she'll be there and she'll be helping me through it. And it feels like that as well. There's a whole army of people out there that have got my best interests at heart. And it's yeah. gosh, it's so strange as well because what you think might come up does, I was thinking it was going to be a great aunt and, yeah, it's just a long time ago, a long
Right.
time ago.
How long ago do you think it was? What did it look like to you or feel like?
I want to say like late 1800s or something like, yeah,
So her brother
possibly.
is the one where the lineage came through, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it felt like that as well. It felt like she'd deliberately not married, deliberately not had children, but she was very, very close to her brother and his family, but still living on her own and apart. But yeah, and that sense that when she was when I first saw her, that sense family with everything, and it just got, you know, it got it got torn apart basically. Um,
Yeah. It's also really wild. You got married, but you chose not to have kids. And so it's
yeah,
interesting that connection. You told me
yeah,
you knew that all along that you weren't going to have
definitely. I
kids.
always knew I wasn't going to, and yeah. And I think that feeling that if because I was quite late getting married and I didn't think I ever would, but that if you marry, you're giving up something. I can see where that came, I can see where that came from because that would have been an easy option for her. That would have been an easier route.
Mhm.
Um,
Especially in that time period.
yeah, yeah, but also yeah, I feel quite proud because she was strong. She was a strong, strong woman, and
Very much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Phew.
and also wild the connection to the anger turning inward into like depression and
Yeah,
loneliness and sorrow.
yeah,
And you mentioned, I think, in your questionnaire that that depression felt like it was inherited. It felt like it came from somewhere else.
definitely, definitely. And I'm not the only person that has been affected by it. And yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what else kind of flows from it. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Which lineage do you think she was on?
I think it was a maternal side.
Uh-huh. Because
Yeah,
that's the depression, the stuff.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't know enough about Scottish history, but it's making me want to go and go do a bit of research. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that thing as well, the connection to the land, because seeing her there in the beginning, it was wild. Like the weather was really wild, but she was just completely in her element, if you like. Yeah,
It was also wild how the weather calmed down as she
yeah,
cleared.
yeah.
When was the
Gosh.
last time you've been to Scotland?
Funnily enough, we went for our honeymoon and I absolutely loved it. I've been as a child and I don't think we kind of went to anywhere particularly traditionally Scottish, but I had a friend who lived on the Hebrides. I've been to visit her twice and that is wild. That is really, you were definitely, you cannot escape the weather. And I've been there a couple of times when I've had a hard time and it's been very healing. But for our honeymoon, we drove around Scotland. And interestingly, we didn't go to any places that I know I've got family connections to because it kind of felt like it needed to be more precious. It needed to be done differently. But it's definitely on the agenda to go back and visit some places that I know that the family came from. But I have no idea where she was. I have no idea what part of Scotland that was. But it was there was nothing there. But I suppose that would have been the case for a lot of Scotland
Right.
that long ago. Um, but it has got a very, very different feel to the rest of the UK. Um, and it's just it's magical. It really is. It's yeah, that's making me want to go back.
Uh-huh. That might be an interesting way to connect and even to
Yeah,
honor your ancestor. One
yeah,
of the ways that you might honor her is with the herbalism, with the medicine. It's
yeah,
I always recommend that people tune into themselves and, ask yourself like what's a way that you can honor your ancestor. And so you already have some ideas, but maybe doing a little bit of research, maybe checking out Scotland with your husband
yeah,
whenever you want. That might be a beautiful way of reconnecting as well.
yeah, yeah. I like the idea of that. Yeah, and I think that as well. Like I say, on both sides of the family, that idea of coming down here. it's important to go back. One of my uncles, he goes a couple of times a year. He's on the paternal side, and yeah, he's been very sort of hard working about that, and he's done quite a lot of walks, like particular trails and things like that. And he's done a lot on the family history side of it. So yeah, I think maybe there needs to be done on the maternal side because we don't know much, and yeah, maybe it's time to do a bit of research. Um,
It's so interesting that you tapped into why, or one, at least one of the reasons why there's so much secrecy on that side, because your ancestor was forced to not speak up, to not talk.
yeah,
And so it was like the start of that pattern of we don't speak about it, we
yeah,
have to stuff it
yeah,
and carry it.
that's right. Yeah,
But as you discovered, despite the fact that, information wasn't really passed down, nobody really talked about it, you have the capability of tapping into it because it's all in that cloud
yeah,
of your morphogenic field.
yeah. Gosh, I wonder how many more there are. Yeah. And I really feel like I'm glad to be doing this work for the bigger family, for the nieces and nephews and everyone else.
It's going to be wild as you find out the trickle down effects of this, like the ripple effects, because you're going to see shifts happening in your family. You're
Yeah,
going to get insights about your ancestors too. Usually people will get different insights depending how they tap in, but you also see shifts happening in the people around you and your family. So if it's your maternal side, it's probably going to be what you're going to see on her side of the family.
yeah. No, I'll keep yeah, I'll keep my journal handy and
Hmm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you again.
this
It
was
is
so
really
great.
hard to put it into words, but it is astonishing, isn't it, what can come up?
Yeah.
And
And to
even as
see,
you were sort of talking about the breathing, you can feel someone's there waiting, and yeah,
yeah, and just to see the connection, right, of all the threads of your life and your ancestry going back to an experience that took place so long ago.
yeah, yeah, and to feel it, I think that's the other
Mhm.
thing. It's like because you watch films, don't you? And but when I could see her being punished, and it was so sad, so emotional. But you cleared it, but it was real. Yeah, it's almost like one of your memories when you tune into one of your memories, and it's the emotion still there. It's like I had her emotions. Yeah,
Because you've probably experienced something very similar in your life. It's like a
yeah,
visceral, like it's not like in your head, it's like a visceral sensation of I've been there, I've experienced.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I also can't wait to see what shifts for you in this idea of like what's stopping me from being my authentic self now that this is
yeah.
cleared. So we're going to meet again in about a month and we're going to talk about the transformation that's taken place, anything else that you've, experienced in your life, anything you've noticed in your family, anything at all that you want to share.
Well, thank you so much, and yeah, I'm so glad I've been brave and done it because it's been amazing. And so when you sent me the recording of the other session, I was like, oh, I don't really want to listen to this, and I just did. I felt really proud of myself, and that's a new sensation for me. So thank you for helping me be brave and helping me through it. It's been a joy. It really has. So yeah,
Beautiful. It's been a
forward
joy to
to.
witness this with you.
Hi, Meredith.
Hi, how you
Hiya.
doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. That was fascinating what you heard at this event from the archaeologist.
Yeah, it really just, when your spine tingles. Yeah, it's really interesting. There's this burial mound in a village just outside where I live, and they're doing a whole series of events to try and bring it back to life. So they're talking about archaeological finds and history. So some of it's quite dry, but there's this idea that these are people that lived thousands and thousands of years ago, but in terms of sort of spoken stories, it's not that long ago. People remember, don't they? Yeah,
Yeah, that was beautiful how you realized how connected everything
yeah,
is. We all are. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you have any other insights after that? Anything that related to you and your journey?
I think just the idea that, we just go so far back down the lines, and it's like it is there, and it's in your body, and it's in your memory. And I've been talking to my dad this weekend. Interestingly, he was just talking about some family stories that I hadn't heard, and you just realize that those people that he was talking about, so my great grandparents, it stretched back to their great great grandparents, and there's this line that comes through it all. And the bit that really like made my spine tingle again, he was talking about his great granddad who had to leave the family to go off on a boat basically to war. Didn't want to, but that was the only way of providing for his family. And then his dad had ended up moving down from Scotland because he had to. And it's just sort of made me realise, I've got this thing about moving, like it's never a choice, it's something that's done to you. And that goes back a really long way. Um, yeah, it's it's been really, really eye-opening. And yeah, just feel very connected to all sorts of ancestors, not just my family, but like with this talk, ancestors of place, people who used to live here in this city before we did. And yeah,
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 how is that changing for you? You mentioned having this dream, this like recurring nightmare that you have to move, but it's not your choice. You tapped into that a bit in your ancestral session too. What happened to
yeah.
your ancestor and she was forced to be displaced? What insights are you getting?
I think that also like I've lived where I live now for a very long time, but I came here to go to university and stayed. And it wasn't a sort of choice to go to university, it was just sort of what was expected. And that realization that I have never chosen where to live in my whole life, and I love living where I live now, but we've been away for a few days, to a place that I really love. And it just having this sort of, gosh, we could have a light, we could do this, we could move here. And it felt, rather than sort of feeling terrifying, it was like, yeah, that's something to explore. So I don't know that
Wow.
we will, but it was lovely. Yeah, just I think the realizing you can create a life you want wherever you are, and it's okay to choose where you want to be rather than where you're placed. So yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like new possibilities, new expansion in those possibilities of what could be possible for you and your husband.
Yeah, yeah. And in lots of areas, just lots of, none of them, they're not sort of earth-shattering, but just lots of little conversations and things happening that you just sort of think, oh yeah, that sort of fits. I mean, even today I went to a talk, and I was talking to a lady who was talking about having three daughters, and she was kind of a bit disapproving of where they were and the sort of things they were interested in. And she just really reminded me of my mum. And then we sort of listened to the talk, and she said, oh, I've really realised over the years that I didn't do what I needed to do for my daughters, and that's something I want to try and put right. And it just felt
Wow.
like I was sort of representing her daughters, and she was representing my
Wow.
mum. And somebody else at the talk just said to her, well, made me tear up a bit, just sort of said, all I would want is for my mum to acknowledge that she didn't do everything I needed, but she did the best she could at the time. And it was just a really moving moment, because
Wow.
everybody's got those wounds, haven't they? And the lady I was talking to, she'd had a really difficult life, and it's that thing, we carry it through, but we can, it's never too late to change it.
What an amazing synchronicity of
Yeah,
your
it really
family.
was. And again, sort of that's just that sort of ease. It didn't feel like, oh God, this is a deep conversation, I can't handle this. It just sort of felt right. And also some sort of spending some time with my mum and dad, because I put in my notes that unfortunately they lost a really old friend who I've known since childhood. Obviously they've lost friends before, but it's sort of been different somehow this time. It's like my mum is not very good at showing her emotions, but she's kind of just ridden it, rather than sort of stiff upper lip, well, we've just got to get the funeral done and all the rest of it. She's been much more open than she has been
Wow.
before. So yeah, which has been much easier to be around. Um,
What was that like for you to see your mom? I think you described them as kind of more broken open during this
yeah,
experience. What was that like for you to witness?
it's really beautiful, because, you know, I think in my family there's always been this thing that, you can't talk about the bad things and just have to stiff up a lip, get on with it. and it was really strange because the friend that died, she was in a position where she knew it was going to happen. It happened very quickly, but she had 2 or 3 weeks to put things in order. And my mum was sort of, she wasn't able to talk, but she's written to everybody that mattered, and she wrote her own eulogy at the funeral, for her daughters to read at the funeral. And yeah, what an amazing woman. And then also sort of helping my mum to see, but that amazing woman chose to be friends with her, and they go back all those years. And yeah, yeah, it was really, really strange, very, a really tough time. But I don't know what would have happened if this had happened a couple of years ago. But as I said, it just seemed like they were very able to share that with me and my sister in a way that they probably wouldn't have done before. And my dad gave a reading at the funeral as well, which again, not kind of something he would necessarily have stepped up to do before.
Wow.
And yeah, gave me a sort of an understanding, because it made me reflect on those years that I'd known this friend, and things from childhood, and just little snippets of things falling into place, and sort of remembering, well, yeah, my mum, she could be fun because she was always fun when she was around this friend. And yeah,
How does that shift your relationship with your parents to see them opening in a new way?
I think it makes me find it a little bit easier to forgive them. I don't mean they did anything awful I've got to forgive them for, but let go of some of that resentment, I suppose, that I had, that I did find it difficult when I was younger, and I did have a difficult relationship, certainly with my mum. It's almost like it's that feeling, it doesn't really matter now. It doesn't matter. It's the past. I've moved on. I can see it from a different vantage point now. And I can see all the good things that I got, and I can see it's that strange thing, like I sort of said, you sort of feel like I've always been an outsider, but then there's also realizing that I've kind of done that myself as well. So it's sort of, things have served a purpose. So I think that's as well. And so it's sort of almost like if I hadn't had the experiences I'd had as a child, I wouldn't be who I am now. And I'm proud of who I am now. And it's that thing, isn't it? It's how you deal with things and how you process things. And I think that realization that it doesn't have to be solved in at the time. It can be fixed further down the road, and like very quickly as well. Things that
Mhm.
seemed like a huge issue that would have to be unpicked and talked through, just lifted. So yeah, pretty amazing.
It is amazing. You
Yeah.
also described your niece. She's a preteen. You were saying she was
Yeah.
very anxious before.
Yeah, she's a lovely girl, but she's quite like me. She's very sensitive, and sort of, doesn't put herself forward to do things, and has a lot of, I don't know if anxiety is the right word, but worry. I think she's a worrier like me, like my mum. And one of the things, she was going to have all her hair cut off. She's got quite long hair. And then she'd got herself in a real state, was crying, didn't want to go, and blah, blah, blah. And my sister hadn't got round to cancelling the appointment. And she just said, "Oh, Mum, did you cancel that appointment?" "No, I've decided I would like to have it done." So she went and had all her hair chopped off, so it's like, no longer a little girl. And then the school were doing some activity, some sporting activity that normally she would not have put herself up for. But she did it, and she went at it with it like, "I'm going to do a really good job here." And she did, and she got a medal and all the rest of it. But it was just a different her, really. Before there would have been tears and I'm not going to do it and I can't. And she was like, "No, I'm doing that on Saturday and I'm preparing." And, she did her own little routines to get ready for it, and she really enjoyed it. So, yeah. And I'd say it's only when I was putting the notes together, I thought, oh, yeah, that was weird that happened. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that is that could be something to do with it. And,
Yeah,
and
it's like she's stepping into new self-confidence now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because I don't have children myself, but she's part of my lineage. So yeah.
That's so beautiful that you got to witness that. You also mentioned, around your family, you've had conversations with your dad, you've witnessed your parents going through their opening experience, you saw your niece stepping out. You also said that you're showing up different, that you've been less argumentative, being able to step into more vulnerability in some areas. What's that been like for you to not have to prove yourself?
Yeah, just really refreshing. It's almost like I'm not even thinking, "Oh, I'm going to speak up now," but I'm just finding myself saying things. I'm not struggling to find the words. It's just like flowing conversation. Like I could talk about non-contentious issues, and it's been really good. Like asking for help because I don't know. I just had a couple of sort of physical aches and pains, and normally I'd be battling on and like, well, I'm doing it myself. I'm going to carry on doing it. And I just sort of said to somebody, I'm really struggling at the moment. Is there any chance you could do that this week? And they did, and it was no big deal, and it really helped me. And I think it's I just feel like I've been honouring my body a lot more. I do say I abuse it. I do a lot of physically strenuous work and ignore a lot of signs. And I was like, no, do you know what? I've got really sore wrists and I don't know why, and I don't know where it's come from, but I need to take it easy. And I did. And it was, yeah. And really lovely that people didn't sort of roll their eyes and sort of, oh, she's trying to get out of work or something like that. They didn't do all those things that I would normally be worried that they would think about or do.
You asked for help and you were met with support.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you honored your body and got to rest by
yeah.
speaking up. That's
And the same,
beautiful.
I was still saying because I ride a lot, and I really enjoy it. But again, as I get older, it's hard. It takes and so I think there's that as well. So you're getting on the horse already, sort of like, oh gosh, I'm not sure I want to do this, and this is hard. So I just haven't for a few weeks, and we've just been doing other things, and it's been lovely. And to have the horse come over, put his head on my shoulder, and just stand there, it's like a big dog
Oh,
for a cuddle. But it's so heartwarming, and it's that being present, I suppose. And I do try when I'm around the horses, but there's always something to do. You're always in a rush. There's more jobs, and going, do you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to stand with you here. This is what it's about. This is why I'm here. Um, yeah,
that's beautiful. So a whole new kind of connection with your horses.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, you also mentioned like shifting out of this outsider rebel archetype and realizing that it served you a purpose in the past, but it's no longer serving you to where you want to go, stepping into your authenticity. Is there anything else you want to share about that?
Yeah, I think it's realizing that I was sort of making myself even more like, oh, it's almost, I suppose that is that teenage rebel, isn't it? There is a bit of you where you can feel a little bit superior, a little bit, well, yeah, because I'm not like that. I'm different and I'm out here on my own. And then thinking, I don't need to be. And just by being a bit open, you meet more people and it turns out like the lady today, we had a really lovely conversation. That wouldn't have happened if I'd decided that she wasn't my sort of person and kind of sat away from her. And so when we've been away, this other town, just chatted to people. It's just come really naturally, and it's been really lovely. So yeah, kind of there's a few times as well because I always feel like people don't remember me. We know what people are like. They never sort of pretend, do they? Go, oh, I don't remember meeting you before. And you think, why can you just pretend you did? But there was a couple of people where I just said, oh, we did meet before and blah, blah, blah. And it didn't have any of the pain that it normally, when someone doesn't remember you and I remember what their kids were called or something, it used to really hurt. But it was just sort of like, oh, yeah, no, and then, oh, yes, I do remember you now and carry on. And yeah, it just feels lighter, I think. And I've met a lady that lives locally, and we've just hit it off, and it's just easy. It's just been really nice, like catching up here and there, going for coffee and stuff. But yeah, just relaxed and casual, and yeah. And it's so weird. We just ended up next to each other at a sound bath. It turns out we live really close together, and we've got loads of things in common. And yeah, it's kind of what I wanted. It's like I think I said in the very first time I spoke to you, it's like 10 years ago I sort of was in this phase where there's loads of synchronicities and all this stuff was flowing. And then I think, to be honest, a lot of it was sort of COVID stuff coming along and it kind of shut everything down. and I've been wanting to get back into that flow state, and it feels like I am now. It's
That's beautiful.
yeah. It's and yeah, one of my the lady I worked with years ago, she's been back in touch. She's been doing an online sort of meditation. It's been really good to reconnect with her, and
Oh,
it's almost like everything was on pause. Do you know what I mean? And now it's
mhm.
like, yep, it's moving forward. So
The
yeah,
realignment.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
So as you're aligning more with your authentic self, you're now pulling in more of these experiences, some
yeah,
reconnections from the past, and also
yeah,
just some entirely new experiences, even in your relationships with your family, also
yeah,
just with random strangers, like this wild synchronicity that showed up with this woman as if you and your mom.
yeah, yeah. It lifts your heart, doesn't it? And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. The more you get affirmations like that, the more it kind of flows. And when we were away this weekend, I was staying in a house and it had a big window, and I was sitting looking out at this amazing view of the countryside, and the heron just sort of, and it just flew as if it was going to come through the window. It did.
Wow.
It turned around. It was really graceful. That sort of thing doesn't happen. Like that is a strange occurrence, and lots of things like that where it just almost brings you back into the magic of like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Or you know that you're in the magic when you're seeing all these
yes,
synchronicities happening.
yeah, yeah.
I
So yeah,
love that. You know, it's so interesting that you mentioned, I think at the very beginning when we first met, about, when someone dies and how you might want to console somebody or be there for someone. You mentioned something about this in one of your other sessions, I think, and then you talked about your parents losing a loved one and how you were there for them. Is there something about like your presence accompanying people through grief?
yeah. I think yeah. I've had quite a few big experiences. A friend of mine lost her son really tragically. Gosh, probably about 20 years ago now, and I was there through it all, and it was really hard, but also really beautiful. And I think it's that I kind of feel like it's a role to sit with it. I mean, my friend's just trained to be a death doula, and that's not something I would want to do, but it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? You know, we die and it's all something that's shut away and people aren't involved, but it just feels like people need to be supported through that. And I think I don't feel like I shirk from it. I can sit with difficult things. Um, and I think I've probably I was going to say neglecting my duty, so I'm going to say it because that's what came to my head. But almost like, yeah, that might be something that I'm being called to do, and I need to recognise that. I had a really odd. It was a meditation we were doing, and it was sort of an underworld journey. And we had to sort of meet a gatekeeper, and I kind of met myself. Like it was really odd. I don't know if it was future me, past me, but it was that feeling again, that feeling that maybe I need to be guiding people through things. Haven't figured it out yet, but I definitely feel like I'm a little bit clearer on maybe where I need to focus my attention.
Yeah, I get head to toe chills when you say that. So I feel like you're on to something,
On the right
because
track.
yeah, when you made that new agreement with your ancestor, it was about honoring your gifts, right? It's safe to be who I am. It's safe to know what I want. It's safe to express what I want. It's what the world needs.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was about sharing like your gifts of wisdom, of knowledge.
yeah,
How has
yeah.
that shifted for you in the last couple months since this process happened?
I think I have just been, you know, talking more about things like herbs, herbal remedies, that kind of thing. And I've certainly been applying it to myself, like the knowledge that I've got, rather than just kind of reach for the headache tablets. Like, no, I'm going to go and see what else I can do. And yeah, I don't know what direction I want to take it. There's a lot of people doing healing out there in lots of different ways, and I'm not sure what mine to do is. I do think I want to do some more study.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I haven't quite worked out what, but
Mhm.
it feels exciting. It feels like, 'cause somebody said to me a couple of years ago, "Oh, have you thought about going back and retraining?" And I just thought, oh God, no, college, all that. No, absolutely not. But th this wouldn't be that. This would
Right.
be find, I just think it will happen. It'll be a synchronicity. Something will crop up. Maybe
Exactly.
that's for me. But I do feel now that I would I would commit the time to it rather than feel like, oh, I'm too busy to do something like that. I'm like, well, no, I would prioritize that over other things.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and maybe doing some writing as well, because I really enjoyed doing the journaling, because it really stretches you when you kind of just do journaling without prompts or questions. You can kind of go a bit easy on yourself. But some of the ones I was there going, oh my gosh, I just don't know. And I think again, when you try and think your way out of it, you can't. So you just have to sit with it, and then something comes to you. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the dark evenings and just spending some time by myself, pondering and meditating and just seeing what comes up. But it's again, rather than feeling like that's an escape, I feel like I've been really out and about. I've done lots of things that, like today, the talk. I was working and I thought, oh, do you know what? Can I, can't I? And I just don't know. It's important to go. Somebody's talking about a subject you're really interested in, and I made it happen, and I'm really glad I went. And the talk was fascinating, but also the people I met. It was like I was meant to be there. And I think it's finding people that are really open to sharing, not just about their own experiences, but about other things that are coming up. And yeah, I just think I'm making some really good connections. And yeah,
It's wild how, as you shifted your field into that authenticity where it's safe to express, where you want to express, it's like you're pulling in these people who are doing the same thing.
yeah, yeah. And it's that ripple effect, isn't it? Like the lady that gave the talk, she was sort of talking about, once you, something you said as well, but once you heal yourself, you're healing the people around you. And it's, yeah, it just feels like that's gaining momentum, because there's so many people out there working on themselves. And then because they've worked on themselves, they can help other people through it. And it could really turn things around in the world.
Right.
So
In
yeah.
fact, you mentioned that when we first met too, about, that sense that you're feeling called to step up in your soul calling in some way now because of what's happening in the world. So
Yeah.
when you look ahead at 2026, what does that look like for you? How are you going to step up, even if it's in little ways this year?
I feel quite excited about it. I think it's going to be a really challenging year in terms of what's going on in the world, but I just feel like I'm part of a wave that's bigger bigger than what's coming. We can deal with this, and we can change things for the better. So I feel really excited, and I feel like I'm going to be embracing anything that comes along that feels in the flow. I'm not going to be wasting time thinking about why I should or shouldn't do things. I'm just going to go with it, get back to trusting my instinct, and just see what comes, and yeah, make the most of it.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, it does feel really exciting, and I just think, a move might be on the cards. Definitely some more travel, definitely. Because I think that's something that I really noticed today, is like even driving to this talk, I just had a flash of inspiration about something that I've been working on, that,
Wow.
and I was, oh, that's what I need to do. And it's that realizing of getting out of the routine. It
Mhm.
just gives space for stuff to formulate. And yeah,
That's
that's my
beautiful.
plan. Embrace 2026, and yeah, and just make more and more connections. It's yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to keep drawing in more of those connections because the more you keep shifting into your alignment, into your authenticity, the more these wild synchronicities and connections and opportunities keep showing up.
Yeah, yeah. I can't believe how much has happened just in the last couple of months. It has been crazy.
That's beautiful. Any other reflections, any other insights that you want to share?
I think I'm still still processing it. It's because it seemed like quite a long time after the last session. It sort of seemed quite a way in the future,
Mhm.
but I can see why it needs to be, because it is integrating it, isn't it? It's integrating what happened. And I think again, you kind of just almost take some of it for granted, and it's only afterwards you go, gosh, that was really strange that I met that person, or that happened. And So yeah, I definitely need more time to reflect. And I think that that's what I want to do over the darker months, is just make sure I'm, because I think sometimes as well, just making a little notes of the dreams that you've had or strange things that happen, it kind of gives you the fuel for maybe when you're feeling a bit disconnected, you can just look back and go, well, wow, yeah. I mean, to be fair, even being picked to be on your podcast, because I say I followed you sort of years ago, never thought this could, wasn't even something I would have imagined. So it's yeah, it's amazing. And just
Here
thank you
you
so
are.
much. It's brilliant.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a month since we had your last session, the ancestral session, and I find usually around a month or maybe 5 weeks is when the person really can see like the massive shifts that are happening, not just in themselves, but in their family
Yeah,
in wild ways. You notice it in the generation younger, you notice it in the generation older. So
yeah,
it's really wild how that happens. And
yeah,
that it's an ongoing process and it's going to keep happening and keep growing. And you're going to keep stepping more into your authenticity. And you wrote something really beautiful here. You said, I feel like I'm a strong person and that anything is possible if I honor my truth. I feel that I can instigate change now rather than being pushed around by fate.
yeah, yeah.
I love
God.
that.
Thank you. That's a case in point. That's not something I would have written if I wasn't in that flow state. So yeah,
Right.
I might frame that.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh,
It has been a pleasure working with you. Thank you so much for sharing your time, for putting in effort, for doing this work, for being so brave to share this with the world, because I know it's going to benefit a lot of people. That theme about authenticity, expressing ourselves, that's so common.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, because I didn't know what to expect, but I felt really safe the whole way through. And yeah, it's amazing. It's I'm glad you're bringing it to the world. Yeah, and I will pay it forward. I haven't worked out how yet, but I will definitely pay it forward. So yeah,
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for a new 2026 for you and to hear about the things that are going to happen in your life now that you're stepping into these new possibilities, this new alignment, this new flow state.
yeah. No, I can't wait, and I will keep you posted.
Awesome.
Oh, thank you again. I honestly can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you ever so much.
If this episode speaks to your soul, make sure to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this with someone else on the path, someone who's ready to go deeper, beyond the surface of healing and into true integration, beyond the personal and into the ancestral, collective, and planetary layers too. And if you'd like to leave a message or a note for me, something that resonated, something you want to hear more about, you can leave a comment here, or you'll find a link in the show notes where you can send me a private message. And if you felt inspired by this story and you'd like to have the opportunity to work privately with me, you'll find the link for one-on-ones in the show notes or on my website, innerintegration.com. I'd love to help you identify and transmute your own personal and ancestral patterns so you can liberate yourself, your lineage, and create a positive impact in your life and the world around you. And for those who are super committed, I also have an epic 3-month transformational journey called Becoming You. If you want a guide to walk with you into your own inner alchemy of wounds into wisdom, embodying your purpose, and leading with light. Remember, keep listening within. No more playing small. It's time to remember who you are because the world needs your wholeness now more than ever. You are not the wound. You are the medicine. Let your trauma become your map to purpose. Thank you for joining me today for this transmission of the Inner Integration podcast. You're not broken. You're not behind. Your trauma wasn't a detour. It was initiation, an immersion into the very wisdom your soul came here to embody. To go deeper into this work, visit innerintegration.com. And until next time, big hug to you.